This video is made for adult collectors because bro gets eaten and poisoned. Not in that order though. So I never got the last Jurassic pack, seeing as it was a mold I already owned, and Jp93, which I've been told by many isn't great. So I never got this either. But when it went on Black Friday on Amazon for, oh lord. But I asked on Twitter which one I should get, and this is the one y'all chose. So here it is. And I like it. But these are two brand new molds. They're actually both pretty good molds. Not perfect, but pretty fun nonetheless. So Dilophocon is actually super reminiscent of older Beast Wars toys like Iguanus and the type. The way her limbs are shaped, the way she feels, and the way she transforms all feel like a Beast Wars toy. Not to mention the use of ball joints on the shoulders, elbows, and the hips really helps sell that OG Beast Wars feel. I really like where the frills end up and how they look like ornate and yet not too overpowering of the whole design. I'm also glad they're not attached to the head, rather on her back. I'm also glad they're not attached to her head, rather her back. Mine does have an issue where the left shoulder transformation hinge doesn't soft click into place like the other one, so moving it around does tend to be a tad annoying. And she has very little heel. That and this high heel nature feet design makes standing her in some poses kind of difficult. Colors are great though, but I think the main reason a lot of people, myself included, buy this set is for Jp12, or Dennis. I have a friend who's named Dennis, so I just think of him every time I look at this toy. But this toy is very strange. First off, it's meant to represent this dude, so the chunky nature of the wheels on the front and the bulky hood chest makes sense and honestly work for it, though it negates a waist swivel. I like his little hat, though he had a hood in this portion of the film, I believe. I think the hat's a nice compromise though, seeing as a separate hood piece to clip on would have looked a bit odd. But this is a licensed Jeep and a licensed Jurassic Park thing. They want the alt mode to be pristine, and it is. I'll talk more about that later. But because of that, you get this backpack that sticks out just a little too far for my taste. I do like all the nice little details, the red knee pads and the sculpted lines on the lower legs. Honestly, other than the torso, the lower legs seem to be the only well-detailed parts, and it feels a tad disjointed. It's very odd to me. Well, shoulders also like to untab, which is not, I guess that's the theme of the whole pack. Shoulders come undone. They both have accessories. Dino Lady has her tail gun and blast effect that plugs onto the top. That's an odd place for it, honestly, but hey, it's nice to have new, unique blast effects. And our boy Dennis here has his gun, which is also his winch. And I think that is one of the most clever weapon placements. I very much like that. He comes with his hat. He also comes with the Barbasol can and the embryo container inside. That's really cool. Oh, and his gun has a little nub on the front, but is not blast effect compatible for some reason. So their articulation is pretty standard. They are both missing waist joints, which is a little unfortunate. Let me just get all the accessories. I love this. Whoever did that, whoever came up with that, you're a genius. This, however, every time you remove it, you have to take the embryo thing out separately and then put it in to the container and then put the container on the side. But yeah, their articulation is just kind of standard, but also slightly limited on both of them. And each in their own, it's limited in their own specific ways. Because her heels, or lack thereof, makes it hard for her to stand, and he's just a bit chunky. So we'll do the dinosaur first. Head can rotate. It's on a ball joint, but it's like, it can tilt a little bit, but it's pretty much just rotation. Shoulders are on ball joints. They cannot go back further than that, however, because of the panels here. However, you do also get butterfly joints just because of the transformation, which is nice. Elbows are on ball joints, so that gives you the bicep rotation as well. Nothing at the waist, just, oh, that fell off. These fall off too much. Nothing at the waist, obviously, because of how it transforms. Hips can go forward, they can go back, in and out. You have thigh rotation, though it does click a lot on my copy on both sides. It's a bit strange. You have just a little bit over 90 degrees of bend there at the out of focus knee. Focus on the wall, on the toy, not the wall. There we go. And the feet can go forward, back, and you have a little bit of ankle tilt. There's a dedicated cut in the foot to allow for an ankle tilt, which is nice. But like I said, the lack of heels really makes it hard for her to like stand. You gotta really, really get the balance right. These feet are just such weird shapes. They don't help. And then let's put the gun in her hand. Yeah, whatever. Dennis. Now, Dennis here, the head is on a ball joint as well. I'm just gonna take the hat off. It makes it easier. Head's on a ball joint as well, but he can look up a little bit, which is nice. Not that much side to side tilt. The backpacks come on tabbed. That's not an issue. I just did that by accident. Shoulders are on ball joints. They can do a full 360 in and out. You have bicep rotation. That's out of focus. You have an elbow bend, which bends just about 90 degrees. It does have wrist swivels. That's nice. And then the shoulders, like I said, they just untap. They're supposed to peg into these wheel arches here. And they do, but then they just come right back out again. It's a bit annoying. Nothing at the waist. Again, hip skirt can move forward to allow for the legs to go forward that far. They can go back that far. They can go in and out. You do have thigh rotation. You have 90 degrees of bend at the knee. And then the ankles can move down. They can't go up, but he does have ankle tilt. So they're posable, but just due to the way that they're both shaped, they don't look great in a lot of dynamic poses. Then again, literally in the movie, this guy gets eaten by this. So I don't know how else you're gonna dynamic this up, but there she goes. So the set, a neat little pack of deluxes. Sure, they aren't perfect, but they're cool and fun. Now let's make them their alt modes. All right, let's make them things. Let's do the dinosaur first because it's the easiest one. So this transforms a lot like an old Beast Wars toy. Get the tail out. There we go. Rotate this, clip into place, and let's get on to the dinosaur. So to start her transformation, the first thing you're going to want to do is rip the head out and bring it forward like that. Then you want to rotate these. Now they are on 5mm pegs. I'll talk about this a little bit more later, but they do just tend to fall out a lot. So I tend to just hold them at the back here and at the front, rotate them out like that. Bring them out forward, tuck the head in, fold this section back up, and then just bring this all back here, clip it into place, fold this down. It's honestly kind of satisfying to do as long as these don't fall out. Then the arms, you just bring them inward and peg them in to the crotch. You bring down the dino arms and then the tail bit. The legs, the shin caps come up and they peg in to, once you bend the knee, they peg into the top here. Now one thing that's interesting is they deliberately limit the articulation in dinosaur mode. So if you notice right here, there's a tab, and that tabs the hip into place, kind of rendering the articulation in the legs moot because they don't move anymore. So it's a bit strange. I get it's for stability, and you can just you literally just unpeg it and move it around. But it is an odd choice to have them peg in at such a weird angle like that. It makes standing the dinosaur a bit difficult to do. And then you just take the tail, plug it in, lean it forward a bit. And there you go, the Dilophosaurus that apparently I believe is not accurate, but again, I don't know. Dentist time. Now this shares literally, I thought this was gonna share a little bit with this mold, like the hound mold, just because of how the legs looked. But as you can see, Detritus's legs are actually a lot bigger than Dennis's legs. And Dennis has a lot more parts to him than Detritus. So they're completely different. He does borrow arm transformation though from Bumblebee, surprisingly, like movie Bumblebee, but you'll see. So he can transform with the hat on, so I'm not gonna take it off. But first what you wanna do is you wanna bring this section out and then bring this up. Because if you don't do this and you just yank this out, this red piece will pop off. So you gotta do that in the right order, otherwise. Then we're going to unpeg the backpack and just sort of shift it down. I don't know why I said that like Sean Connery. Bring the arms down, fold up the hip skirt, and then bring this up. The hat fell off. The hat fell off. Ah! Hat emerged. There we go. And then fold the hood. Oop, fold the hood down. Fold the wheel arches down. Bring the wheels in. Like so. Then just sort of smoosh the arms in. This is what I mean by they do movie Bumblebee stuff. You smush them in and then bring them up like that. Does that not feel like Studio Series Bumblebee a little bit? It's kind of funny. That's something I didn't expect to see on this, was a Studio Series engineering trope. Then you want to take the feet, bring them back and around like that. Open up the shins. And we're going to come up here real quick. We're going to fold out the spare wheel. We are then going to rotate the legs in and close. Oh, that's out of focus. And close that up. Rotate the legs in, close that up, peg them together. That, and then shift this back. Now, this is extremely stiff. This, oh my good lord. See, this hinge right here, this double hinge in the middle, is very stiff. And I was extremely scared because this is all clear plastic, right? I'm like, oh my god, this is gonna rip off. No,
The hinge is actually connected to a solid plastic structure on the inside. Same with this back section. That's a solid plastic structure on the inside. So none of the joints that are like structural are actually attached to the clear plastic. They built a structure on the inside, which I really, really like. It's so that he has an interior, because there's actually seats at the back and the steering wheel at the front, and there's seats in the middle. But I do like the fact that that actually has a structure on the inside, so it doesn't feel like it's gonna break. It's more expensive to do something like that, but again, this pack costs a lot of money, so I kind of expect that. You close that up, and then, where did his can go? Here it is. You can take the can and clip it in underneath, and there you go. There's your Jeep. Once you get the hang of it, it's a lot of fun, but at first it was a bit challenging to try and figure everything out, because the instructions aren't that great.
Very much adore the dedicated storage for everything on both of these. It's such a nice change of pace from just plugging something on the top and going, there you go, Mac Tech or whatever. These two alt modes are great, though I think the dyno is a bit too big scale-wise, but that's more a conversation about the price, and I'll get to that later. The dyno mode looks cool. I like the coloration with the brown added in. It helps it from being too plain. I also very much like the way the shins slide up to become the thighs. That's a very nice touch. And it's also a pretty well-balanced dyno, all things considered. But the thing I want to talk about most is Dennis. This is such a nice Jeep. And no, before anyone brings it up, this is a collaborative toy, therefore commissioned by Universal. So it won't get retooled into Hound or whatever because they own a contract for this mold. That's usually how the collaborative stuff goes. But it has an extremely satisfying hand feel, just like Studio Series Sniper. I love how dense he feels. And now you see the reason for the giant pack. What is a pack? Backpack. Look at how pristine this alt mode is. That's like a very nice micro model of a Jeep. The paint is also very well done. Haha, funny reference coming up. But they spared no expense on this deco. It's very well done. I literally couldn't think of any other way to word it. So, you're getting the reference. Together they make a nice little set. And they have this cool display base in the box, which is nice. But that box, there is a lot, and I mean a lot, of wasted space. And its price, even with the Black Friday discount, that's the Canadian dollar price, by the way, I think it's way too much for these two deluxes. And it all comes down to that Jurassic Park logo. The license for this is probably so costly. Remember Draculus and how expensive that was because of Universal? This is probably the same thing. Because here we have a Jeep Transformer of sorts that cost me about 35 Canadian dollars. Two of these together is about 70 Canadian dollars before tax. The whole set, not on sale before tax, is 115 Canadian dollars. That's too much, I feel, for two deluxes with some extra engineering and extra deco on them. Sure, they cost more to make these toys, but it still doesn't feel worth it. Size also hasn't been a factor in price for some time now. For example, Override is a Voyager because of her plastics, paint, and engineering, but she's the same height as Needlenose, who's a deluxe, and he has less paint, slightly lesser plastic quality, and more simple engineering. But here, even with that in mind, the $115 just feels like a little bit too much to pay for this thing. Even the $94 I paid for it seems a tad too much, even for me. It's two very neat toys, and while flawed, they're still fun, but the price really drags the set down, and I can't wholeheartedly recommend something this expensive unless it's on sale, a better sale than that. But that's my look at the Jurassic Park 2-pack, well, the second 2-pack, the 2-pack, I don't know. Follow me on Twitter and Instagram, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.